Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan delivered an unexpected announcement as he revealed that the 51% stake at SAA to Tako Consortium would no longer go ahead. This after a new asset valuation and the renegotiations could not find agreement.
We came to a point where, whilst there was meeting of minds, so to speak, on some of the issues, there were other issues on which there was no meeting of minds. For example, the exemption that would be given to the new entity in terms of paying rental for the property that they would utilize in this process. That's just one example. There are many others. So late last week, which is what we put before Cabinet today, there was agreement that in terms of a clause in the previous or the old sale and purchase agreement, where by mutual consent this transaction could be terminated, that clause was put into action.
Gordhan said Cabinet had been briefed on the matter and adopted the stance taken by his department. This means SAA will revert to 100% state ownership.
We clearly ensured that SAA, we are convinced in terms of the numbers available to us, that it can sustain itself for the next year to 18 months, and that there are various ways, other ways, in which immediate financing can be obtained, but at no stage in the course of the months that come will SAA get money from the fiscus. So we want to make that clear. There's no going back to the past, there's no reliance on government itself. It must run its operations as efficiently as it can and as profitably as it can, and sustain itself.
Tako Aviation said the terms of the proposed revised transaction were not in the best interest of the parties involved. The company says market conditions have changed since 2021 when they acquired the shares.
Business person, I can't deny that the political pressure was immense, but it was not the political pressure that led to us finding ourselves at this stage. We do know and we do believe that even within the ruling party, there's been different views about this. But we were really of the view that, on the other side, from a leadership of this transaction by Minister Gordhan, believing that he had the support of the cabinet.
Gordhan has assured the airline staff that their jobs are secure as the national carrier would sustain itself for the next 18 months. Meanwhile, the Deputy President was before the NCOP this week, where he was forced to respond to the water crisis facing parts of the country like Johannesburg due to disruptions at the water pump stations and as a result of load shedding. Mashatile said municipalities must consider renewable energy and that government had set aside 20 billion rand to improve service delivery.
We agree with you that it's important that we must continue to supply water as much as we can. I know that in the long run, load shedding itself will be sorted out and be a problem of the past. In the long run. And you will be surprised, members, honorable members, that we may resolve that problem as early as this year.
Mashatile was also grilled about the shortage of skills in the country in what turned out to be a political debate.
As the incumbent chairman of the ANC's Political Deployment Committee, how can you continue to deny that the practice of cadre deployment is the base cause of service delivery failures caused by the shortage of skills.
If the DA does not develop its cadres, then you are deploying people who are not fit for purpose. You know, we in the ANC make sure that if someone has to go and lead in any sector, they have the requisite skills to be able to do so.
The high rate of youth unemployment was also highlighted. Mashatile said 7.4 billion rand had been allocated to the presidential youth employment stimulus. In another major story this week, Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee found 9 EFF MPs guilty of contempt of Parliament. This after they disrupted President Cyril Ramaphosa's budget vote speech on 9 and 10 June 2022. The MPs received sanctions of suspension without remuneration or fines. The affected members are Natasha Ntlangwini, Anthony Matumba, Isaac Mafanya, Babalwa Matulelwa, Paulnita Mare, Naredi Chirwa, Sinawotambo, Motusi Montwedi, and Yoliswa Yako.
In my respective submission, I request the honourable committee members to find all these 8 members guilty, as well as Honourable Tambo, who is the 9th one.
The defence had argued that the discipline taken is unfair, inconsistent, and heavy-handed, and only used when it comes to the Red Berets.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with saying we could have done better. And the solution to it is to not punish the EFF members and at the same time exonerate the ANC members. They must be found not guilty, at least as far as that charge is concerned.
He was in agreement with regard to the guilty finding and sanctions.
The penalty with respect to Honorable Tambo is 30 days suspension without remuneration. Penalty with respect to Honorable Montwedi, 30 days suspension without remuneration. Penalty with respect to Honorable Ntlangwini is also 30 days suspension without remuneration.
The Standing Committee on Finance has heard that the proposed amendments to the public sector pension laws that will allow for a 2-pot retirement system contradicts the divorce law. Some of the stakeholders who made submissions to the committee proposed that the Pension Fund Amendment Bill must supersede the Divorce Act. The amendments are set to come into effect on the 1st of September this year. The Association for Savings and Investment South Africa said it's concerned about the contradiction with the Divorce Act.
The works is that the Divorce Act will govern divorcing parties and the Pensions Fund Act will govern pension funds, and you've got both sides having completely different provisions, and that will be enormously problematic. So how it's to be resolved, we need to really put our heads together and work that out. Hopefully, a line in the Pensions Fund Act overriding the Divorce Act will work.
The National Treasury said the matter was taken into consideration.
When we were drafting the pension laws, the application clause, which we have inserted, trump the Divorce Act.
Also continued the process of the General Intelligence Laws Amendment Bill. The bill aims to split the State Security Agency into 2 separate agencies with different mandates. Parliament's ad hoc committee dealing with the spy bill agreed that the South Africa's National Intelligence Coordinating Committee, NICOC, needed more independence. NICOC itself has called for more room to breathe. It said while it is an entity within SSA, reporting to the minister, this is challenging and stifles its effectiveness. NICOC is the entity responsible for coordinating the activities of all South Africa's intelligence agencies.
The way the bill is crafted now, the minister exercises all of that power. So the decision of the committee is that it would like to see a more autonomous NICOC. So we have to go and rework some of the clause is there so that it's not the minister who does the day-to-day function. If the committee is directing us to go into develop a version of a more autonomous stakeholder. So we would have to revisit some of the powers of the minister as proposed.
The committee agreed that this limits NICOC's functions.
NICOC proposes that the budget of the Office of the Coordinator shall be appropriated by Parliament as part of the budget vote of the intelligence services and shall be expended in accordance with the rules and procedures set out in the Public Finance Management Act of 1999.
NICOC revealed instances in the past where previous ministers interfered with its operations. Once enacted, the bill will remove NICOC from its current position within the SSA. Ulelani Philip, SABC News.